This channel is for educational purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before making any investment decisions. Hi, this is Joe Rabil with Invest Like a Pro. So today I'm going to talk about the market. I'm going to look at the SPY and the QQQ. Look at a few key things that I think are developing there. So on Fridays, I tend to do a market video. I like to spend time focused on one specific market to give you an idea of how I look at different indicators and how you can apply them to individual stocks. On Tuesdays, I put out a video that is mostly focused on individual stocks, but what I'm trying to do there is look at MACD, look at ADX, look at the moving averages, look at price structure, and then look at them in multiple time frames. That's really the goal of this channel, is to teach those things in multiple time frames and maybe give you some different insights into those indicators that you haven't seen before. So let's go ahead and get into the market review today. I want to start with the monthly chart. I've got 4 charts up. I got a monthly in the bottom left, weekly in the bottom right, daily in the upper right, and then an hourly in the upper left. Now, I like to look at all these time frames, but I start with the highest time frame first and then work my way down. Because what I want to do is I want to get a bird's eye view of what's really happening first of all, and then we want to work our way down and look at the momentum characteristics and all that, and then use the smaller time frames to help with our timing, reduce our risk, so that's kind of the goal here. So let's look at the monthly chart of the SPY, and we can see we've made a pretty big move recently over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years. Now we've gotten a little bit away from this 18 MA that I have lined up here, this purple line. And we've gotten far enough away to where, and for a long enough time now, where I would be looking for some kind of a check back towards this line. However, you don't just guess. I mean, you're looking for signs that the momentum is slowing or momentum is shifting. And one of the things I like to look at is the ADX. And so I'm going to zero in on the monthly DI lines right now, because we've made a lower high right here. So we made a lower high here. We have made a lower low on the sell side. So this red line represents the strength of the selling, and the green line represents the strength of the buying. And so the buying has slowed down here, but on the last move, we didn't really get a shift where the sellers improved, meaning it was still pretty good selling, or not very much selling on that last decline. So I'd be looking for a move back up through this peak here, and for this to come back down through here. If we see that on a monthly basis, if the monthly chart shows up that way, then I think we can start to believe that we're going to work our way back down towards this 18-month line. And it's going to significantly increase the amount of risk we have in place. So that's kind of a confirming evidence, I think, something to be on the lookout for. That's going to show that so when these lines start to come together, that means that this blue line is going to roll over and turn back down. And when that happens, the ADX line starts to turn down. That increases the odds that we're going to work our way back down and test the moving average, the 18 months. So that's kind of the process that you want to be on the lookout for right now. If we got any kind of real selling that would cause this to have maybe a down bar, or next month have a down bar through this prior month and get a little bit more selling to show up where this red DI were to make a higher high, then I think the risk levels increase even more dramatically than they are right now, just because it's extended. If we look at the weekly chart, so I want to just point this out. I did have a question about this. Yes, these lines are still rising, and they do look about parallel, but the 18 is losing a little bit of slope, and the 40 is catching up with it a little bit. And you can see that if we drew a line here, if I draw a straight line, you can see how it was pretty much a straight line until here, and now we've lost a little bit of slope. So what that's telling us, though, is the reading we're getting on these is essentially telling us the same thing, that we're starting to lose momentum. This 18 is starting to slow down a little bit, even though the longer term moving average is going up at about the same rate. That's why we like to look at these. These have a leading edge component to them, even though they're a second derivative of the market, the price action. They are still they still have a leading component when you start to compare higher highs with the indicator. So we're getting signs that, you know, the momentum has slowed. We just don't have any confirmation based on price. I think if we come back down through this prior low and through this area, this prior high here, this would be pretty important coming back down through there. So that level, just so you're aware, is 450. So if we take out 450, in my opinion, that's going to be a pretty important key here. And I think that'll probably coincide with the monthly DI line starting to come together, meaning making a lower high in that and a higher high in that. So that's kind of what we're on the lookout for on these higher time frames. On the shorter term time frame, look at the daily chart. I mean, so if I'm looking at a stock, you know, I'm looking at one of two things. I'm either looking for a sideways consolidation that's orderly and quiet, and I'm looking for a breakout to the upside, or I'm looking at the moving averages rising and I'm looking for a pullback to the 18. Well, we don't really have either one of those. This is not an orderly sideways pattern. This is a, you know, just a really kind of a sloppy sideways pattern. And we ran up into resistance and it looks like we're failing. For all I know, it'll be up tomorrow. I mean, I still think the bias is up until the end of the year. I don't think we're going to get a massive amount of selling. That's a huge decline before year's end, because I just don't think there's that many days left in the year. But I think we need to be prepared for the potential for some kind of a correction. Maybe as we flip over into the new year, maybe we'll get a little bit more of a rally into the new year and then go through the correction. But this is something we have to be on the lookout for. Right now, this is just a neutral pattern. Let's look at the QQQ. And I just want to make mention the same thing is happening on the monthly chart. So look at this monthly. We've gotten stretched away. We've been away from it a long time. Yeah, the MACD looks like it's starting to roll a little bit, but we've got a lower high, a clear lower high here in the DI line. If that can make a lower low and we get red DI to make a higher high, then I think we're going to see this blue line start to roll over, turn down, and then that increases the odds that we come all the way back down to the 18 months. So again, that's something we want to watch for. We don't have as much momentum non-confirmation on the weekly chart, but it's not good. It's just not real bad like it is in the spider. These lines are still moving up at about the same rate. I'm not seeing the same kind of divergence, but we do have momentum divergence in place. Look at that MACD making a lower high, and ADX again is making a lower high here as well. But we don't make decisions based on these indicators. We use price for that. So we're going to need a break of this key level, which happens to be right around the 380 level, right around this 18-week line. That was where it broke out from this last leg. I think if we came back down through the 18-week, that would be pretty negative here as well. Same thing happening on the daily chart, pretty sloppy, although this is a lot weaker. Anytime we see all three ADX lines below 25 like this, think consolidation. Think neutral, sideways, more consolidation, not trend. So I think that's what we're in for right now. It looks pretty sloppy, not a lot going on. That's the update for the week. Go ahead and post any questions or comments. We'll see you next time.